It's starting. It's starting.
All right.
Click on join meeting. Please enter your name. Ryan. Hello? Hello? Looking for audio. Hello?
Hi there.
Hi.
I can hear you. I still can't see you though. Can you enable your camera?
Yeah, I thought I did. It asked me if I wanted to. Let me go up here, start video.
Yes, please.
Is it working?
It sure is.
How's
Okay,
it going? How's it going, guys?
It's going great. How are you doing, Brian?
Good, good. Can y'all see me okay?
Yeah, so
Okay, I'm just going to get my pen and piece of paper here in case you guys say something I need to write down.
okay, so you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually get you all framed up first because we need to get you framed the way we're gonna have it that when it airs on television.
Okay.
So first off, I need you to bring your camera down so that it's not on an upward angle, so that it's like just at eye height, if that makes sense. So you might need to move your camera into a physically higher spot so that you're not looking down at it.
Well, I have it on a, oh, let me put a box underneath it. Hang on.
Perfect. Yeah, box and books are always your friend.
Uno momento, por favor. So who am I speaking with besides you, the handsome fellow with the beard there?
Well, thank you very much. My name is Andrew Forbes. I'm the I'm helping out with the technical side, so I'm going to be doing the recording, so you guys could just have the conversation. I just wanted to introduce myself and thank you again.
Okay.
And then I'm actually going to turn off my video camera so that and mute myself out, kind of thing, so I don't get in the way of anything. So.
Okay, nice to meet you, Andrew.
Great to meet you, though. Thank you again for this.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I put this up.
I'll see you in a bit. Thanks.
Okay, take care. I put this up on a box. Is that better?
Yes, it is. And then if you can back up a little bit, and then if you could angle the camera down slightly.
I think the camera lens is in the top left corner. I'm on my iPad.
Is it possible to move everything so that you don't have the window in the frame? And so like turn everything over this way a little bit?
Well, then I'll move my light back. I have a light source there as well.
Okay.
You want me to center up more?
Just because we're going to need you to be on the other side. So I need you to be closer to your window and your light. And then I need you to be looking towards where the window, like the...
Okay, I can't get any farther left because I got shelves and stuff right here.
Okay, so maybe we can move can we move the camera further?
To the right? To my right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that will work.
I have a light source here, see behind me? That's a sliding glass door to the outside. I know
okay.
You didn't want that to be in the background, you said.
No, that's the thing. So we want to just kind of frame it up. What do you think, Andrew?
come back.
Because it's quite busy behind you. Is there somewhere in your house that has just like a plain wall? Or can you have it so that the window, can you turn it anyway so that the window is facing your face? And like whatever's behind, like to your right now.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So I gotta figure it out like this, but I don't know how high I can get it. I got a lot of shelving behind me and stuff. It's still got to come up more.
And then if we can, so then that's part's okay. And then if we can just, sorry, this is all of the joy of pandemic television.
It's okay. I'm just trying to help get where you want me to be. That's all.
Of course.
I'll put the camera up higher. Maybe that'll help if I get it up higher.
I don't think the camera needs to be higher. I think if anything, it just needs to be like, I need you to have more room between you and the camera so that we can get some headspace without too much clutter.
I got you. So you want me to sit back?
Yeah.
Please. And then if you can sit back, but then pull the camera down and then to your right slightly. And now lean back again. And then if you personally can move it slightly to your left, just like the ever so little amount. And then, but not the camera. So I need the camera to stay the other way a little bit more.
Back this way?
Yeah. How's that, Andrew?
Sorry, Brian, actually that little ring light that you've got, I think we're getting enough illumination on your face from the exterior light.
Okay, I have another little light here that I have on. I can turn.
Okay, yeah.
Let me turn that one off as well. It's going to get dark here in about 15-20 minutes, so.
Oh, well, then in that case, we should definitely be okay. Because I'm seeing your, yeah.
Are you comfortable without glasses?
No. I've been wearing them for 65 years.
Well, there you go.
60
They
years.
look great on you. It's just there's a little bit of a glare. That's the only thing I'm concerned about, because we're seeing your camera in your glasses right now.
I see.
That's a little bit better.
Well, let's see what I can do to try to help the situation here. Because I can see myself in the camera, and you want no glare?
I think that's better.
Yeah, I can't go without glasses.
Like
That's not me.
Yeah, no.
No, that's totally fair. I appreciate that. It's...
You want me to tip the camera down a little?
If it's possible to tilt it down a wee bit more, if that's cool, please. Yeah, and yeah, let's try it.
That's definitely better.
Yeah.
I turned the light off that was behind. Did you want that other light that's behind the camera?
I quite like with the one that's on your right side, the kind of the warmer lights that's on the right side. I wonder, is it possible to take the iPad and slide it to your right a little bit, just to try and bring it back around? I'd love to put you in front of the, basically line your head up with the window, the blinds, if that's cool. Something kind of like that. How does that feel? No.
That's better, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Now I can adjust this other light. So if you need more or less, it's on a large extendable arm.
And like an articulating arm, right?
Yeah, so I can move it if you want. If you need more light in my face, I got that. Takes away.
Yeah, it's more, again, it's just showing up in your glasses. We're just trying to make sure that we don't see too much of it.
I see. Well, I can tip it.
So
I can tip it down, or I can tip it up and tip it away.
Maybe tip it up and away. Is it possible? Is there any room on the shelf to slide it to your left a little bit more?
Sure, I can move the arm like this.
That'd be great. That's helpful. And where are you looking right now? Are you looking at your image, or are you looking at?
I'm looking at my image, which is on the bottom right of the iPad screen.
Gotcha. You should be able to just grab that little window and move it up to the top left of the screen. Would you mind doing that, please?
Okay. And what do I do? Touch the plus or the minus?
You should be able to. It should be able to drag over, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm trying it with my iPencil, and that's not working. I'll try it with my finger, and that's not working. If I could
That's
get
not
it,
working either, right?
if I could get it to the top. Oh, well, now I got multiple cameras. So if I could get it to the top left, I think that's where the actual camera lens is on this iPad.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if we would line those up if that's cool.
Yeah, but maybe there's a release you have to do or something on that for me to move that.
Let me do a quick search around here for 1 moment. I'll get an answer on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty new with the iPad myself.
No worries.
Those old people suck, don't they?
Old people
are the best.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know what you're worried about. Yeah.
I strive to be that one day. I'm working to. I wish I could retire today.
I told Andrew, I said, those old people suck. I don't know if he caught that.
Not in the least. No, I have. It's only I used to teach filmmaking for a few years, and
you did?
Trying to figure out trying to do teaching during the pandemic was like a whole education. It was a whole thing. So yeah.
I can imagine. I'm just pouring a little coffee for myself here.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to get too relaxed and smoke a cigar while I was with you. You know, I figured I better just chill for a second.
Brian, I'm going to ask you one thing. There is a piece of paper with like a red tag on it behind you.
Yep.
Kind of hanging. Could you remove that?
Sure.
It just makes it look a little bit cluttered with that one there. The rest of the stuff goes your veteran stuff.
Yeah,
and I think we talk about that a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's just my banking account information in case you want to zoom in on that.
Oh, perfect.
Maybe we should take that
probably
down.
best that we take that down. I'm just nervous. It's not the right way facing. It's not going to match the others.
Sorry, I'm away from that for a second. Let me check.
I'm still trying to move this thing, but I don't know if it lets me do that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too, and it's giving me some weird. If you have,
how about backgrounds and filters? I got a thing that gives me backgrounds and filters.
Oh yeah, don't worry about that thing. So because we'd love to see what you've got. I mean, as much as we don't want to go too, we don't need banking information.
No,
have some information on the line.
Oh yeah, you just want. This is where I've done all my work on the case for.
No, that's awesome. And that's the thing that we're looking for. Yeah.
Years and years and years of blogging.
Oh,
I'm sure I've inundated. I'm sure I've inundated you guys with tons and tons of information.
Honestly, it is such an appreciated thing to have all this information to be able to build a more complete story with. It's been really, really. Awesome. This is really unique access.
Yeah, because there was a company. Yeah. Well, 48 Hours was going to do it first of all until COVID hit. Then we had a company in London reach out to us, and I was all set to go with them. So I put everything together for them, and now and they backed out because of COVID. So I'm really blessed that you guys have picked up the ball, and I'm real thankful for that. There's not a lot of information on you guys on the internet. I tried to do a little bit of, detective work. But I see you guys do like a lot of mystery shows, murder mystery shows and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. My kids are into that.
There's a whole combination. It's actually, I'm relatively new to the company. And this is, yeah, we're both kind of new.
Second day?
Second day in the office, yeah.
Oh my God.
My first month.
So. How did Tom do?
Full-time job.
You guys just finished up with Tom Guilfoyle?
Yes, he was awesome.
He is Spider-Man. We call him Spidey, right? Because he climbed the balcony in 1977 at 29 years old to, when he found her because she didn't show up for work when her girlfriends called. Mary and Steve LaRusso, they called, when she didn't come to work. But I'm sure we'll get into that or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know what to expect from you guys for this. I'm just kind of, just call me Gumby. Flexible.
I'm seeing a little bit of a lag right now.
Are you feeling
there's a lag.
You're like a video to audio lag?
Yeah. If you're not seeing it, that's fine because yours is the main.
I'm not really seeing it.
Can you count to 10 for us, Brian?
Do you want me to count to 10? All right, hang on a second. Yeah. I gotta take my shoes off. I'll be right there. No. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
8. Okay, I got that. Okay. Cool, okay. Yeah, the only thing I was thinking of, Brian, the way that your iPad is set up, do you have a stand or anything that'll let it flip it around so the camera's facing? You do? Is it cool to rotate it? Would that be
sure? Let's give it a go.
Give it a spin, and we'll see if that.
Okay, it stays on the bottom right when I spin it.
Yeah, probably. Okay.
Yeah, it must juxtapose, whatever that word is, to itself to the bottom right hand side. So this is the larger picture here.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Thanks, that'd be the one.
Okay, so that's what called landscape.
Yeah. And there should be, if you tap on the screen, there should be a whole bunch of menu stuff that pops up.
Okay.
And if you just tap on the screen, it should have a
zoom.
What's the?
Oh no.
There's the zoom functions and settings and things. Let me just confirm this again. Sorry.
It's an iPad Air, so it's pretty brand new.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get a gallery view. Are you seeing just whoever's speaking, or are you looking?
I'm seeing just you and just me.
Perfect. Okay, so if that's the case, video during Zoom meeting, and so on. So if you should be able to change the view settings so that you can go from what's known as a speaker view to a gallery view, and the way that you do that is
meeting settings.
There we go. Meeting. I don't even think you need to go to meeting settings. It should be one of the first things that pops up. I'm at a desktop, but
switch to gallery view.
There we go. Yeah, thanks. That'll do. Now you should see everybody all at the same time.
I do, and I see my handsome. I see my handsome face right there too.
It's yeah. You're looking
That's
great.
what we're here for.
So from there, I think, how is that for sight lines and where you're looking and all that kind of stuff? That feels okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I can sit back and chill. You want me to tip this down just a hair? I got Debbie's badge on. So
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wore it to court, and I got away with it for a few days until the judge admonished me that people in the elevator might see it, and it could, impartial the panel and blah, 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 ad nauseum. But anyway, she was a wonderful judge, so I respectfully did what she told me and took it off.
Fair point.
So I'm here next to this light. How am I looking on light? I can bring this warm light. I can bring that warm light over a little. You want that warm light over?
I think we're good.
No, I think we're good, thanks. Yeah.
We're solid, man.
No, it's feeling good. This is a nice tweak, and I know where I'm looking. I know who to look at. This is important. I'm going to keep myself muted. Well, I'm going to stop my video.
Okay.
And I will mute myself.
Okay.
But I'll start recording if you're okay with it, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah. Can you guys tell me what are your expectations for me for this particular session here?
I'm just going to ask you about 10 questions.
Okay.
There might be a few more just based on what you say. I might have some more questions to go up from that, but it's just going to be a conversation between the two of us about the case. It's pretty standard. It's all things that you've already answered and you've given us information on. So a lot of this is based off stuff that you've already told us. Okay. We just need it in your words. I'm just going to ask if you could, as much as possible, even though it feels more natural to leave your chin up and talk, if you leave it down, if you bring your chin a bit down, a little bit more, when you're looking straight into the camera, it's way more, it's more impactful. So if you can just look right into there. So
you want me to keep my chin down? Is that what you're saying?
As much as possible, yeah. And that way we have you nice and framed up and you get all the light right into your eyes and you can actually see the color of your eyes. So it's
that's awesome.
Perfect.
I have to charge extra if you see the color in my eyes.
Oh, geez. All right. So, Ryan, we're just going to jump right into this.
Sorry. Now we are recording, yeah.
Okay. I want to thank you right off the hop because I know that this can be sensitive. And if at any point you need to take a moment to just collect yourself and gather yourself, or if you just need to take a minute, just say it. Don't rush yourself. Just do what you need to do, okay?
Appreciate you.
So I'm going to start off with an easy question, but a hard one at the same time. Can you tell me a little bit about Deborah?
Well, Deborah was just a normal, regular girl, and we all, lived together, me and her and Donna. And when we were little, we just did what little kids do, We played outside, we played cowboys and Indians. Debbie got a new bike one time for her communion, and I'll never forget, her being so excited about having a brand new bike in a cardboard box, and that was like way above our pay grade as far as our family being able to afford something like that. So to this day, I don't know how that came about to be, but I remember that being one of the bright moments in her life. And so other than that, we were just normal kids. We played, we went to the store, we ate penny candy, we did all the little things that little kids do.
And can you tell me a little bit more about your childhood? You said that like getting the bike was a little bit out of your family's typical price range. So can you paint me a bit of a picture of what it was like back then?
Well, we grew up, the three of us, as young kids, and Mom and Dad had some, issues between themselves in the marriage, and so Mom ended up going away, and I was 4, Debbie was 5, and Donna was 3, and my dad, had us at that time, and he met a new gal, and then my grandma came along because Dad got in some trouble and ended up going away to Attica for a while, and so we were kind of like just the three of us on our own until later on in life, when things changed. But it was a pretty rough childhood. We were on public assistance, and we would be grateful for getting, whatever groceries and stuff that, that allowed us to have. But we weren't well off by any means. We were just the average family struggling.
Absolutely. And so growing up like that, I'm sure like Deborah she moved on to Miami. So what was that like? Was she more of she a free spirit? What prompted her to leave the small town in New York to a huge city like Miami?
That was a little later on, Mel. What had happened is, as we went into our early teens, my dad ended up moving to a small village, a town called Oriskany Falls, New York. And we were on the border between Oriskany Falls and Madison as far as the school districts went. There were only 12 kids in the class in Oriskany Falls, so we ended up going to Madison and had about 50 in the senior class. And we would ride the bus to school and whatnot. And then Debbie was in high school. I mean, she was a year ahead of me. So what happened was she took off for a year, I think around her senior year, which would have been 1971. And then her and Roxanne, our sibling, our half-sister, they decided they wanted to go to California and they wanted to meet movie stars. So they took $40 and off they went. They hitchhiked out to California. Not recommended in this day and age, obviously, but back in the early 70s, that's what they did. And they were out there for, several months at least, from my understanding. And then they came back for a little while. So that kind of put Debbie like 1 year behind in high school, so she had to make up her senior year. So as it happened, her and I ended up graduating the same year in 1972. And we actually walked down the aisle together at graduation, which was pretty cool. Debbie was asked to speak at graduation. She was not, valedictorian or anything like that, but for some reason they chose her to give a speech and announcement at the graduation, which was pretty special. And so then after that is when she got married to Phil, and then they divorced, and then she ended up going to Miami. She completed her nursing degree in Utica, New York at Mohawk Valley Community College, and then she wanted to go to school to become a lawyer. So that's when she, decided to go to Coral Gables, Florida. And that's about the same time I was in the submarine service. I went into the United States Navy, and I entered submarine service and went aboard my submarine. So that's kind of how we ended up going, in different directions at that point.
And so you did mention like she moved off to Carol Gables, but before that, she did get married. Can you tell me a little bit about those circumstances and what that time of her life was kind of like?
Well, she was kind of, you know, a girl that hung around town a lot with Roxanne, and that's how I think she met Phil, who was her husband. And they married, you know, they were pretty young, and I think they didn't date all that long. I don't know how long it was, but when they got married, and Phil was like an outdoorsman type. He'd be the kind of person from what I understood that he would live in a log cabin and he would be happy to hunt and trap, and he was a nice guy. I met him. And Debbie was more, you know, I want to spread my wings, I want to see the world, I want to explore, I want to grow, and so I think that's what happened, is they just had different ideas on where they wanted to go in life. So it was an amicable, you know, divorce to my understanding. But I did get a chance to talk to her once. It was a short time, actually, before she was murdered. And I was at my brother-in-law's house in Yorkville, New York. And I hadn't talked to her in 7 or 8 months, but something fell on my spirit to give her a call. So I called her in Florida, and we talked for like probably 45 minutes. And we talked about everything. We talked about this and that and nothing in particular. But it was wonderful to just, you know, have that time to talk with her. And that was the last time I ever talked to her. And then, you know, I went back overseas to Europe, to Scotland, and, you know, she continued on with her activities in Florida as far as, you know, I didn't know her relationship with Bregman. My sister Donna said, if you call down there, make sure you tell him it's your brother, the guy's jealous. I didn't know this person, never met him, never saw pictures of him, didn't know anything really about that they were engaged and she was going to, you know, raise his son and that type of thing. So it kind of, you know, took me by surprise when I found out 40 years later what really went down. It took a long time.
And I can't imagine what that must have felt like. So you did meet Ryan, right, you met Ellen once, right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You did meet Ellen once?
No, I've never met him.
Oh, you never met Ellen?
I met him in court. I met him when we went down for 2 weeks for the trial.
Oh, okay, so you weren't one of the family members that she went to a wedding and brought him to a wedding with?
No, I was in the service, so I was gone.
Oh, okay.
When she came back, when she came back to New York, I see where you're going. When she came back to New York, she traveled around, and she did introduce him. This is my fiance, and he would stand up in front of hundreds of people, you know, is what my understanding was, saying, you know, I am leaving my wife and I'm marrying Debbie, and, you know, we're going to raise Brandon, and so it wasn't like, you know, they were just seeing each other on the side of his wife. He was having a divorce, and him and Debbie were engaged. You know, they were to be married. So you know, that's how that piece went.
So I know you were in the service. So when you got the call and found out that your sister had been killed, can you tell me where you were and what that was like and what you can remember from those moments?
Yeah, it's extremely easy to explain it because it's so vivid. It's a moment you never ever could possibly even think of forgetting. I was on the USS Lafayette. It's a SSBN 616 nuclear ballistic class submarine, and we were in Holy Loch, Scotland, and there's a tender that the submarines would tie up to the tender, and that you would do repairs and supplies and different things because there were 2 alternating crews. But I was down in the crew's mess, and I was playing cards with my buddies, and we were all coking and joking and having a good time. I was like 22 years old, and the captain came down, and he had a real stern look on his face. He says, Petty Officer Pantel, I need to see you in my stateroom. And so he walked out, and then I got up to walk out, and all my buddies, of course, were giving me the business. Dude, you're in trouble. Oh, my God, what did you do? He's mad at you. I'm like, what the frick is going on? I had no clue, you know. I'm like, I have no clue. So anyway, we went to the wardroom where the captain's quarters are, just down the hall, and we went in there, and he shut the door, and he was just, you know, very straightforward, and he says, do you have a sister named Debbie? And I said, yeah, and just no thought even came into my head. And he said, well, she's been killed. And it was just like somebody reaches inside of your chest, you know, just like thrust their hand through your bones and just grabs your heart and just rips it right out of your chest. That's how it felt at that moment, because we were close, and that it just stunned me, shocked me, anything you could imagine. The pain was just incredible. And then all my first thoughts were, you know, she got killed in an automobile accident. Something happened, terrible accident. And that's all I could think, you know, that's what happened. It would not even be in the realm of imagination to think that she had been so brutally and savagely murdered. I didn't find that out. Now, the fellows on the boat, all my shipmates, they passed the hat. Within probably less than an hour, I was on a flight across the Atlantic Ocean. I didn't wait for Red Cross. I didn't wait for an emergency flight home. These shipmates of mine, and I'll never forget them. And I have reached out, you know, over the years through Facebook to meet up with them, because I never got to go back. I never ever got to go say bye to my shipmates. And we spent years together underwater, you know. And so when I flew home, I remember sitting on the plane going over the Atlantic, and I was numb. I was just sitting there numb. I can remember it like it was this morning. And then when I landed, my wife met me, because Irene and she's gotten me through so much. You know, we've been together since 1974. So we've been married since 75. So she was there, and she, you know, drove me home from the airport because I was still in shock. But we couldn't you know, have an open casket, you know, because of the beating that he delivered on her and whatnot. So it was just crazy, you know. And I never went back because I thought, well, my dad needs me. I'm not going to be able to go back into the service. And I ended up finishing up my Navy career at a local recruiting station in Utica. They got me transferred over for the last few months. And then I separated in November of 77.
And so I just want to go back to something that you had said. You said when you first initially were told on the ship, you had imagined it was like she'd been killed in a collision or something like that. Mm-hmm. When was it that you found out that it was not an accidental, but it was in fact what it was, like a murder?
It wasn't until after I got back to the United States, landed, we came home, and then it had to be shortly after that. Must have been, maybe my dad must have told me or something. Because, you know, I knew. Or her godmother, Charlotte Stark, is my aunt, Debbie's godmother. She actually had to identify the body when they brought Debbie home from Florida. My aunt had to identify the body because, you know, and she has a nursing background, so we knew at that point, you know, what had happened. We didn't know who or anything, but we knew how she had been killed.
And so from that point on, so now you are back in the U.S., you've been told that she's been brutally killed, a case has been opened. What was that like for your family, living in New York while there was an active investigation in Miami into this case?
Well, Dad kept going down there. You know, he went down there physically, went to Florida 3 or 4 times with a friend of his, and he was trying to gain information. He was trying to understand what had happened to his daughter. And the police in Miami-Dade kept saying, go back home, Frank, go back home. We got this, we got this. You know, there was so much crime and corruption going on in the 70s and so many murders in Florida. Unfortunately, who knows why the boyfriend was never, you know, the fiance was never charged. I mean, the case, I don't know, you probably heard or read some of the case notes, but, you know, it was no forced entry. And Tom, I'm sure, you know, explained it, but his pictures were gone, the baby pictures were gone, all his clothes were gone. You know, so back in the day, the detectives on the scene, they processed the crime scene and did an amazing job of securing evidence. There was no DNA in 1977, so everything got put in a box. And you know, and he was never charged, whether it was because he was so well connected his dad owned buildings of condominiums. You know, they were a very wealthy family. This man lived in $1 million homes, etc. And he had cigarette boats, and they ran around, you know, the Bahamas and this and that. But so no one was ever charged back in that day. And I always, you know, grew up over the years thinking, well, maybe it was a hit. Maybe it was a professional job. She found out something she wasn't supposed to know, and that's why somebody did this to her. I didn't have a clue. I know when her belongings were brought home from Florida in a rental truck, I had to unpack them. You know, my dad couldn't unpack them. And so as I unpacked Debbie's belongings, you know, there was fingerprint dust on everything, and it was so hard. And then I would see, you know, her knickknacks and her pictures, and the things that really struck my heart were when I opened up, like, books she had, and then I saw, like, little flowers pressed between the pages of the book. And, you know, the sensitivity of her nature and her spirit came through, and it was crushing. You know, her guitar, I was so young, but I remember like it was yesterday. You know, it's crazy.
Absolutely. I can't imagine having to go through there, having a sister myself. I know how much that relationship is important and how much it's about your childhood. So having her die 40 years ago and it remaining unsolved for almost 4 decades, what kind of impact did that have on your family and the rest of your siblings and your parents? Like, what was that like for your family over the next 40 years of not knowing?
Well, it was such a heavy burden. I mean, it impacted every part of your life because you couldn't not think about it, you know, day to day to day, as you tried to go on about your daily activities, and little things would remind you, you know, and then you try to shut it away, you know, because of the pain. You try to push it down or push it away, and then it would come back, and then it would haunt you for a while. And, you know, now, one of the things that really I'll never forget is how much guilt I felt as her brother at such a young age, because I had done nothing personally to avenge her death. And, you know, when you think about it, it really isn't television, you know. It's not a movie. It's like, because I thought it was perhaps an organized crime hit or something, I had 2 little children and a wife. And so the devil would whisper in my ear, oh, you're a little chicken coward, huh? You won't go down there and try to find out what happened to your sister and do anything about it. And then in the other ear, it's like, dude, this ain't Kojak, dude. This is the real deal, you know. You go down there and start poking your head around or something, you know, you're taking a chance of getting something to happen to your own family. So I was torn, you know. I was really struggling. I had a deep internal struggle with that for, I'd say, a good decade, you know, from my 20s to my probably mid-30s. And I don't know, I'm a man of faith, and so one day I just was able to kind of put it to rest, because revenge is mine, saith the Lord, and that scripture at the right time hit me at the right moment. So I was able to kind of put that piece, you know, to bed and say, okay, it's not your responsibility to go down there and act like you know what you're doing, like you're a detective, like the great detectives that came onto the scene later on, you know, the cold case detectives, David Denmark and Jonathan Grossman. But so that was hard, you know, as a young person, not to do anything. So, you know, you understand what I'm trying to say, right? That it's just like you feel so powerless, and that sense of powerlessness, it invades your entire being. I mean, so many people in the world hurt, and so many people go through rough times and bad times, but she's like, you know, was a touchstone in my life. Her and my other sister. I mean, it's all we had growing up was the 3 of us, you know, at one point, and it was just like in the way it happened and everything. So, you know, I'm not proud that I went into a lot of coping mechanisms that didn't really, you know, help me as a person. You know, I got into drinking and I got into drugs, and I took took that emotion, and I often wonder, what would have happened had Debbie not been murdered. Would she have helped me to keep my act together more? Because she was a little bit older and a little bit more sane than me at times. And so it was like, and I look at her, picture. I have it right here. What I did was that recording. I think you got the recording of her voice. I sent that on to you guys for information. We had her voice on a cassette tape from 1977. And what I did was I took that to a person here and I digitally had it manufactured, put together her voice on here, pictures, and everybody that was a part of Team Debbie, they got this recording, and they got, and the list is just, I can't say enough about everybody from Tom to the detectives to, her friend Mary and Steve LaRusso going there to the apartment and she not showing up for work, and then they went twice and then called the police, and we got to meet Debbie's friends and co-workers. When we went down for the trial, we were there for 2 weeks, and they took us around Miami. We met Mary Kelly, her husband Aaron, and we got to meet Tom, and you probably saw that Team Debbie picture at the courthouse the day of the verdict. We were all out in the hallway there. Rebecca, the prosecutor, and Laura, their boss, Catherine Fernandez Rundle's her name, and she was fantastic. And even the victim advocate, Andrea Marquez, she was just another wonderful, strength for us to help us through this. The main reporter for the Miami Herald, David O'Valley, he broke the story on the front page. I mean, we got a call out of the blue from this guy. We didn't let this guy in our life. David O'Valley. I'm a main crime reporter for Miami Herald. And I'm like, really? He goes, we're going to break a story about your sister on the main page, on the front page of the Miami Herald. I go, oh, really? Well, that's interesting. So, to meeting Doc at the trial, we got to meet one of the most dignified medical examiners in Miami-Dade history, Dr. Emma Lou. She's just a tiny, petite little woman, and to watch her operate in court and watch them, people try to turn her around, the defense lawyers, and she was brilliant, brilliant. There's so many people to thank, Joe Thompson. Did you hear Joe Thompson's story, Mel? I don't know if you heard about that, but he was friends with with Alan Bregman and his wife. They were in the Coast Guard Auxiliary. They were high up in the Auxiliary. And Joe Thompson and his wife were very good friends of theirs. This was another wealthy couple from Miami. And they used to go around together on the cigarette boats and stuff. Well, Joe Thompson was the first guy to testify in court. And he had issues with Bregman because Bregman told him, oh, you ought to see this girl from New York. She's really hot. And it didn't. The way it came across, Joe Thompson didn't like that. So they kind of broke off their friendship a little bit. But when he heard about the case, he called the detectives in Miami. He said, you need to come out to Ohio and speak to me. I got some information to tell you. So they go out there and they talk to him and whatnot. So the first day of the trial, we're at the hotel, Miami International Airport, and we're waiting for the shuttle bus to take us to court. And we meet this guy in the lobby, and he sees Debbie's badge on me, and he's like, you're not really supposed to talk about stuff because, it could be potential jurors and this and that. He comes over, and he introduces, and we meet each other just as, we're riding the same van. He gets in the van, he goes, I'm really sorry for you folks and this and that. We're like, who the frick is this guy, right? We get to court, he's the first witness. He gets called. He comes marching in the courtroom down the center of the aisle. I'm like, oh my God! That's the guy we just rode over here with. We didn't know him from anybody, But it was. I do have to mention, Mel, about one of my shipmates, Tim Taylor. When I left Europe on that not emergency flight, but when they passed the hat and I was gone, like within an hour, I left everything. I was just gone. I had the clothes on my back. Well, when they got back from patrol, they went out to sea for like 2.5 months. I was supposed to be on that boat, on that patrol. And if something had happened and that boat had gone down, I never would have been able to forgive myself. And they got back. Tim comes on his way to Texas where he lived. He drives by New York, and I get a knock on the door out of the clear blue, and here's my shipmate standing there with my sea bag with everything that I had in life that I owned. And he's like, here, brother, I brought this for you. And I'm like, it just blew me away, you know. Tim and I are tight today, 45 years later. We talk back and forth together, you know, and he came up this summer. We went on a cruise, a dinner cruise, him and his wife, me and my wife, and, you know, just had a wonderful, wonderful time there. But Captain Egan, he was the guy that broke it to me. Gerald Egan was his name. I actually stay in touch with him. I give him updates on Debbie's story. And, you know, these are guys that 45 years ago this stuff happened, and they have no clue. And so who would care to reach out and tell stuff to people? My wife says, you're the only guy that would do that, keep people up on what. I said, because they're all part of Debbie's story. They're all a part of her story. And I don't know. She had some good friends down there, you know. Benet and Mary and Steve, and like I mentioned earlier, you know, Rebecca and Laura, the prosecutors, are just amazing. And there were so many people involved in getting this thing solved. But David Denmark, the lead detective, him and Jonathan Grossman, they came to our house 40 years later. They called and said, we're coming to New York. We're going to come and talk to you about your sister's murder. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody cares what happened to my sister 40 years ago? And these guys they come to New York and they come sit at our kitchen table. My dad was still alive, so it was my dad and me and Irene and Roxanne and the two detectives. And we got pictures, and he opens up this big folder about this thick, and he goes, boom, let me tell you what we believe happened. Because Tom, the guy you talked to today, he never gave up. He kept calling back, you need to open this case, you need to open this case, you need to open this case. They finally heard him after 40 years. They gave the case to these detectives, and David and Jonathan got assigned. So when they came and told us what happened, what they believe happened, it was really crazy, Mel. They were handing me envelopes. Here. I go, what's this? That's a letter you wrote to your sister in 1977 when you were in the submarine. You wrote to Debbie. And I popped this letter open, and I remember formulating some of these thoughts that I was looking at on paper. She had them on her nightstand, so when the police processed the crime scene, she had my letters there. And it, oh God, you know, it just tears you apart. But I have those letters today because of the detectives. I have her voice today because of them. Some of this stuff couldn't be released prior to the convicted person, you know, being able to run his gamut through appeals court, etc. You know, you have to be careful with all the legalities and stuff. But anyways, here we are. I digress. I'm sorry. What did you ask me?
No, that was perfect. It's good. It's great. I'm just gonna ask if you could just leave the pen down, just because every time it like clicks on the table, I'm getting a lot of back feed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It was only for that last question, so
okay. It's
all good. I do have one more question. You kind of touched on it right now, but I just really want to get into the feeling of it. When those officers told you, we caught him, there's a man guilty for this murder, he's going to jail, what was that feeling?
Surrealness, just a little bit of unbelief. Like, come on. Tell me how you call him. Tell me this is not a joke or something, you know, just, could it be? I mean, I was so hopeful and so thankful at the same time, but yet very much cautioned, very much on guard. I was just like, and then, you know, there was no slam dunk on this, Mel. This was going to be a tough one, you know, because it was all circumstantial. There was no smoking, but we didn't have the gun. We had the gun grips. We had, you know, the ring indentations on her face. And there was so much there, you know, for the 2 weeks of the trial. And like I said, the prosecutors did an amazing, amazing job. But then we got, you know, interviewed from the local news channel when they found out that someone had been arrested. So Gary Libator, he's a news anchor here in the Utica, the WKTV News. He came to our house a couple of times and set up the camera and talked to us. And, you know, Spectrum News, this one, that one. It was just all of a sudden everything was happening. But the very first time when they came up and they told us about what happened, Then they went back to Florida. Then they had to come back for more statements with other family members. So they had missed their flight out of Miami, David Denmark and Jonathan Grossman. So they were hungry. So they got here late. They hadn't eaten. I says, hamburger okay? They said, yeah, we went to a place called Zeb's. And so we're sitting there, the two detectives, me and Irene. We're sitting there, we're having a hamburger. Mel, I look over at the booth over here, and there's the news anchor man, Gary Levitor, having supper. I said, excuse me, to the detectives. I walked over to Gary. I don't know Gary. I said, excuse me, Gary, but I think you might want to meet these two Miami-Dade cold case detectives that are here. And I kind of broke it to him what had happened. Well, he immediately got on the horn to his boss and got permission to get the news crew brought right over to the restaurant. And David and Jonathan called their boss in Miami and said, can we do this on-the-spot interview here at Zeb's in New Hartford, New York? And it was funny because within an hour, there was a full-blown news conference going on in the restaurant while we were supposed to be having dinner. And so then the story broke here as well, locally in the local news, you know. And then, so it was, I mean, just so many, what do you call them, serendipities? So many different pieces of this massive puzzle, this longest unsolved cold case in Miami-Dade history. And why does it come full circle? Why do we get closure and so many people never get closure? And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that we got answers. 45 years. Do you think you need to have patience to wait on things for 45 years? Patience was never one of my strong points, but I guess some things you're forced into, and it's the way it happens, you know. I don't know. I'm happy that my mom is still alive and that she understands, you know, what happened on the case. She's not into, you know, having technology or anything, and she doesn't use email, but I would call her all the time. Because through all of this, you know, our estranged family, when she left my dad when we were 4, 5, and 6, as I mentioned, she started a whole new family. So she married a man named Sam Ventura, and then her and my mom and the girls, Sandra and Gwenny and Sammy, my half-sisters and brothers, same mom, different dads, they were the ones that ended up in Florida. They met Alan. They went on the boat with Alan. They had dinner. Mom was cooking dinner on the boat for the man that would murder her daughter. It was so freaking crazy. And, you know, little Gwenny, who I hope you guys talked to, she was pretty young at the time, but she remembers meeting him. She told me, oh, make sure you tell him who I am. And because she didn't like Alan. She had bad vibes. Debbie was her hero. Debbie was like growing up. When Debbie was going to college at MVCC, she would go to Mom's all the time. She heard Mom reconnected much closer than me. I was in the service. So the 3 siblings, you know, they were close. They got close together. And but through this all, the point I was making there, Mel, was I got to re-meet my mom and kind of start to meet my siblings after 40 years of, there was no connection there. I didn't talk to my mom for over 30, 35 years because my dad's side of the family always told me, you know, well, your mom just dumped you kids and she walked out on you and this and that. And I'm like, so you only know what you know when you're growing up, when people tell you things. But my mom's a loving person. I have to forgive her for, you know, whatever went on between her and my dad, that was their deal. And I can't judge anybody. You know, I'm not fit to judge anybody. She loves her kids. She loves Debbie. She loved Debbie. She loves me. She's 86 years old today. And we go out there, we take her to lunch, we hang out at the house, we help her with her firewood. You know, just getting to know the person that birthed me. And I never knew her. But through Debbie's murder case, you know, just reconnecting with her and my half siblings, it's been a journey.
I can only imagine. I think that's all I have for you. I might touch base later when I've gone through the scripts and if I have another question or two. But I think for right now we're good. Andrew, is everything on your end good to go? All right, Brian. So I think that's it for today. And we're talking to Roxanne next. So,
well, I am here for you guys for anything you need, day or night. There are no hours.
I appreciate
I'm
it.
available 24/7. If you guys need something, you call, you text, you write.
Well,
I'll do whatever I can to help support, your project. I thank you for this
okay,
opportunity.
thank you so much, Brian. It was great to meet you.
I thank you for this
Of course,
opportunity.
thanks so much.
Thanks for telling Debbie's story.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Love y'all.
this is-
God bless.
Thank you for letting us.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.